Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. At the outset, I'm extremely grateful to fans for giving me this chance to participate in the wonderful program Manthan 2025. I'm coming here for the first time, and I think in all my experience, a bit of which I'll share in the next 10 to 12 minutes, I think this is a wonderful culmination of giving you everything of our experience of decades, in fact half a century now, and put it across to you in a manner where you should have a start point, the threshold of which should benefit from what we share with you. I think it's from those sitting there today will emerge the leaders, the political leaders, the strategic thinkers, the scientists, the ISRO men of tomorrow, and all of the nation that will rise from the benches sitting here today. And I think you could actually look at it in a way that how would you benefit from everything that's said here, and how would you apply it maybe a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades from now on in whatever field you use. But you are the core element that will align and lead India to the position it does. A lot has been said by the national security, and particularly for the 21st century. With my experience, I would, everything has been explained in a great detail by General Chaturvedi. We happen to be from the same batch in National Defence Academy from '67. I would highlight areas, more specific areas, or different areas, because national security is indeed a very vast subject. So I'll try and fit in something that I think can benefit you and hasn't been said so far. The security in the 21st century, not just of India, but of the whole world, is witnessing a transformation. It's a global transformation that's ending up in national transformation, and finally in the transformation of every country. India is impacted seriously because India is seen as a strong competitor. India's rise from the days of 1962, I'm deliberately not mentioning 48, which was a great success, but from 62, a trajectory that went up to 65 to 71, and thereafter in a zone where it was emerging in a consolidating power. It got to be seen and viewed very differently. There is a changing geopolitical perspective, briefly which I will share with you to make you understand. Then second part where I will leave it for you to judge and apply what I say in the first part. Every country, and you too will face, just like we did, the external security is the first major challenge, and the next one is internal security. Basically, internal security is keeping your people safe within, and a lot was said by Honorable Chairman and who has guided this whole program. I think it was very well said that the core of every activity will remain the person. So I think keeping people safe is to ensure that internal security is in control, and the second one will be terrorism. I'm not going anything beyond this because I think the next speaker, Mr. Chawla, will be addressing this in detail in internal security. But I would like to put before you, external security is no longer threats to me, to a neighbor, to anybody else. External security is a reordering of the global geopolitics at the moment, the way it is happening. When you look back, the World War II made the world unipolar, with US after the atomic bomb emerging as the sole superpower. The Cold War through the end, and after that, the formation of the Soviet Union versus the NATO, the deep Cold War brought in more conflict, brought in more missiles and more destructive powers, what we call the mutually assured destruction. That's the MAD philosophy or the MAD strategy. And I think this went on to an extent till China made an entry and made it multipolar. It didn't stop there. The disorder continued because powers like India, Japan I always count as a very big power in making because it has been put down by the 1945 treaty after the nuclear explosion that they suffered. And I think this reorder is the first thing that you all have to understand. The global reorder, you have nothing, it's a multipolar world, but you do not know who the leading powers are. And I'm saying this with the context in the next few minutes to take you. Your challenge, therefore, will be in this global reorder, disorder, and finally reorder will be, where do you want to see India tomorrow? We cannot sit and wait. Gone are the days of conventional wars, 65 wars, 71 wars, and thereafter, ever ready for a war on the Western Front, ever ready for a war on the Northern Front. This is no dynamic that our brain can anyone sit and survive on. I have 5 times the forces than my Western neighbor, but I have only 1/3 the forces that my Northern neighbor have. Does it mean that the Western Front is weak and that is strong and this? No, nothing, because the dynamics have changed. You need to understand this and rise up in a manner that you reposition your country emphatically. I leave my crunch points to the end, but if you understood the fluidity of how the hierarchy of nations, the nations that are so-called superpowers today, and if you, those of you who read books like the Post-American World written almost 8 years back, those of you who think of the rise of China, and those of you who've seen the program in the last 1 week, China is a very big power. Is a very big power, and therefore we assume there will be enough confusion in the Indian subcontinent. So very important, and how do we ensure that we reposition ourselves clearly? From whatever the situation is today, an assessment has to be taken, and from that assessment must emerge your national security environment, your national security strategy. And how would you implement this strategy despite the shortcomings and shortfalls that you have in your operational readiness? That's one. Second is, can India actually be an emerging power? Will it be a superpower? Or will it be a power that will balance the global world on order? Is something for us to understand. Having understood, the next step is, how do you then take it to a place where it matters? Very important for me to explain that India has never believed in alliances. It's the only country that moved on from non-alignment, went on to strategic partnerships, and probably what we heard last week was a special strategic partnership with Russia. So you see that India's domain has been clear, no matter how much we praised and bruised by the US in various forums, or by Russia or by China. We have seen that this is imperative for us to make the world feel we may not be yet a power where we need to be, but we are a power without which no side of the world can be on the powerful side. But it is a balancer that also you must work for. This must be a nation that puts global peace and stability first. Having heard all this, that we are people who should look by our civilizational understanding, by our non-alignment, by our abilities to put in more peace than disruption, I think the position that we look at finally is that we must be a balancing factor. Despite US sanctions, India did not stop taking oil or arms from Russia. Despite all the sanctions that went after the nuclear explosion, cryogenic engines were still produced by India. And the similar situation is arising today. The Americans tried all sanctions on the S-400, S-500. Nothing worked, because we had suggested to them in various forums, India is a key balancer. Just take a minute more, sir. India is a key balancer, and we told the Americans, just lay off this part. The Russians can be best tackled only by India. And what was the common aim that is now working is to keep China out of it. And if we keep Russia on our side, it is so much more easy to isolate China. And today what America is doing, Trump is reaching out to Putin just for the same reason what we told him last year. Isolate China, the world can be balanced. You don't isolate China from Russia, there will be an imbalance which you cannot handle. And I'll leave it here with the final 2 sentences. It's a transforming world, it's a transforming strategic environment, it's a transforming threat environment. It's right for you to believe that, to see for yourself, that China has extended its territory to the military province of Pakistan. Pakistan is no longer Pakistan. Pakistan is an extended province with Gwadar, and you see in all the J series of aircraft have already, squadrons have flown in into Pakistan. Pakistan is no country by itself. You have a western border on which you today have an enemy or an adversary, the same who is in your northern border. So I think it's important for us to understand threats are closer, strategies have to be made, and know better than you all to do it. I also remember a small couplet that we wrote back in our NDA days when we did a China study of 62 war. It said, "For how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his lords." And I think that's important for the students here today to emulate. There is no better service than giving yourself to the nation wholeheartedly and standing up to your last for the nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful, enriching, and enlightening presentation. So, our next speaker is Shri Girish Chawla. He is retired Inspector General, CRPF. He is currently the National Executive Member, Rashtriya Suraksha Jagran Manch. He is the National Chairman of Central Welfare Board and Global Excellence. He also holds an administrative position in Kushal Das University.